I just quickly, I went to school when I was in primary school in Ghana, right?
Mm.
About 7 years old. There was a little girl in my class. Her name was spelled the same way, but they called her Deborah.
Yeah.
Is that sometimes pronounced that way as well?
Yeah, it is. That's proper pronunciation, to be
I
fair.
know. I just thought. So I was just thinking, hang on. So I've always used that name when I came to the UK, and I thought Deborah. People were like, what? So I stopped. Now it's Deborah. What do you call yourself?
People call me Debbie, Deborah,
Okay.
anything.
So talk to me. Before we carry on. Thank you for being active in the community. You obviously you're here talking to me because you've been active, and we appreciate that because we
Yeah.
try the community to what you guys are doing, interacting with each other, helping each other out, because we just want to create a community that's not we can't find anywhere, you
Yeah.
know, and just a one-off fee rather than But I'm happy with how it's going. So please don't stop being active. We appreciate that. So
Yeah.
how did you find me? How did you end up in our community?
Honestly, I've seen you on Facebook times many, and I kept looking, thinking, have I to have a go at this? Have I to have a go at this? And I have spent years, most of my adult life, going from one slimming club to another. When I was, I think I was 19, I was going on holiday with girls, and I was bigger than any girls that were going. And I absolutely became gym obsessed. I were going at gym 5 times a week, swimming 3 times a week.
Yeah,
I did go to a slimming club, which, looking back, it wasn't exactly like this, but it was high protein and lower in carbs. And
yeah,
that worked for me. And I lost 5 stone in 5 months. But I battled to keep that off. I could not keep
yeah,
it off without practically starving myself.
yeah.
And that's just been,
You needed some fats. That's the
yeah,
whole point. A lot of this, they'll tell you, oh, keto, stop eating carbs. Keto is not stop eating carbs. Keto is replace your carbs with fats.
yeah.
That's basically what it means.
Well, I've got a friend who's a big advocate of this kind of diet and has been
Yeah,
for years. And I
yeah,
watched her drop weight. I mean, don't get me wrong, she comes off it and she yo-yos, she goes up and down. And she said to me, I honestly believe that it works. It's the best thing that I've ever done. And she weren't particularly following your diet, but she's put her weight back on since. And I must have spent thousands of it years going to things like Slimming World and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I'm not saying it don't work for some people. I've watched people drop stones on it, but I
They
cannot
put it back on usually,
get my
yeah.
weight off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually lose about a stone on it, and then that's it. I'm stuck. And I kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm just going to be a big woman for the rest of my life. And then I've kept thinking, shall I do this? Shall I do this? And I've kept looking at your videos. And then I thought, I've got to pay out for it and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, Deborah, the amount of money you must have spent over years, and this is a one-off payment. So the thing that tipped me over the edge, I went shopping one day and I bought these chocolate and sweet things are my downfall. They really are.
Yeah,
And I honestly believe that I were addicted to sugar.
yeah.
Um,
It's not
and
your fault though. It's not your fault because that's what it's available.
it's pushed on you all the time,
Yeah,
isn't
of
it?
course it is. Yeah, always.
Um, and it's just made attractive and it tastes nice, so we go for it. But I went shopping one day, found these chocolate coated custard creams, only 6 in a pack because there was that much chocolate on them.
Yeah,
And I thought, oh, they sound lovely. I took them home and I had to say to my husband, you need to hide these and only let me have one a day. And he went, Deborah, that's ridiculous. And I went, I know it is. I says, but I can't leave them alone. So he gave me one a day and I thought, oh, I'm running low on these now, I bet. So I went back to the shop where I got them from and I bought 2 packets. And I said to my mum's suffering with esophageal cancer and kidney cancer. So it's hard for her to swallow
yeah,
things.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I said to her, do you want to try one of these? I says, but you must take small bites
yeah.
and really let it melt in your mouth. By the time my mum had eaten that one, I'd eaten other 5 out of packet.
Wow.
And I'd got another packet. I bought 2. When I got home, I went straight round to next door to my mum, and I said, Amanda, do you want these biscuits? Well, she's on that weight loss jab. And
Yeah,
she
yeah.
went, well, I don't want it because I'm trying to lose some weight. She says, but kids will eat them. So she took these biscuits off me. She says, don't you like them? And I says, don't I like them? I says, I've just set a packet on way back from shop. I says, I'm signing up for Abbew Crew.
Yeah.
So I come straight back round, signed up for it that day, read all through all stuff on the Thursday night, and I started it on 29th of August, and I've dropped 2 stone.
After what? How much?
2 stone.
It's mad, isn't it? It's
I
absolutely.
know.
But how do you feel mentally?
I feel absolutely great,
I
honestly.
know. It's crazy, isn't it? No, you see, doesn't it piss you off that all these years, if the people that are supposed to, we've
Yeah,
been charged with,
yeah,
helping us with our health, if they told you how to eat differently, honestly,
yeah. And
well done, well done.
I've got to say, I have noticed a shift even within NHS, because years ago they used to say low fat this, low fat that, low fat other.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, they told me last year I was pre-diabetic, and they put me on this thing called Second Nature.
Okay.
It's nothing like what we're doing here in your
And yeah,
your little club.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
completely different to that. But I did notice that there's a lot of ground almonds. It's like an app, and there's all recipes and everything. There's a lot of ground almonds in there. There's a lot of other nuts. It tells you to have a thumb-sized amount of fat with every meal, which you
There we
never
go.
got that with NHS
Yeah,
before.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
were always
It's
low
still
fat,
not
low fat,
enough.
low fat.
It's still not
No,
enough. Yeah.
but I do feel like there's been a shift, and whether
Yes.
they'll ever look up, I don't
Slowly,
know. But
slowly, yeah.
yeah,
Slowly, we hope.
um,
I think the shift is going to be very difficult because the NHS is controlled by medicine.
yeah,
Pharma controls the NHS
yeah,
or the health services in general all around the world. So they're the ones that determine. Instead of telling people, look, the reason why you're carrying excess body fat is because you're eating this.
yeah.
Stop eating it. They'll make a drug for you because it's all about money. So
Money.
because
Yeah,
there's money involved, it's going to take a long time for them to. You don't need a pin size amount of fat. You need a lot of fat and take all your carbs out. Unless you
yeah,
teach your body to become fat. Once you're fat adapted, you can bring a bit of carbs in here and there, but we need to. All of us need to be. Humans are supposed to be. Most animals are fat adapted. Even the
yeah,
gorillas who eat mainly fruit, they are still fat adapted because they end up a body's digestive system only absorbs fatty acids and
yeah,
amino acids. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, my husband said for years. I mean, my husband's a big bloke, but he has lost a lot of weight.
Yes.
He's been diabetic for years, um, and I think he still thinks he's big. He suffers with his mental health, does my husband, and he had his own business, and we had to sell business because he had a breakdown,
Yeah.
and he barely leaves the house, if I'm honest. He doesn't like social situations or anything.
Is he doing what if you can encourage him to do what you're doing?
I'm
Because
trying.
because remember, the better you feel, the more he's going to want to try it. Remember,
Yeah,
mental
and
health is from your gut. And
I think he still thinks he's a lot bigger than he is in his mind, and I think he thinks he doesn't look as good as he does. He
yeah,
hides behind a massive beard. It's not a neatly trimmed beard like yours, it's massive, like a burst mattress.
yeah.
And he's always got a hat on and covered in as much of his face as he possibly can. And he's a
Yeah,
handsome bloke, my husband.
yeah.
But I don't think he sees that, and I think he hides away from people. Um, and he gets so low, it scares me. And I honestly think that if he did try this, I think he'd thrive.
What I'm saying is that just keep doing what you're doing because
Yeah,
eventually when he sees like show him your energy, how good you feel, and then talk about it as well. Just say, "Oh, I feel like this, I feel like that." Eventually, you want to join you. Just say, "Look, try it for 2 weeks.
yeah,
Try it for 2 weeks. Just even if it's 1 week, I believe that he will notice a difference in the week.
yeah,
Because I remember I told you, I talk about it all the time. I used to have panic attacks all the time. I used to get
yeah,
anxiety. All of them disappeared. I'm like thinking, it just disappeared overnight. I've had it for decades, since 1991. I have
yeah.
panic attacks. And it disappeared, like within a
Well,
week.
this is no word of a lie. I used to drink. I don't mean I were an alcoholic, but I did like a drink. I'd go out with girls, I'd get drunk. I'd have 2 or 3 bottles of wine in house through a week.
Yeah.
And I also smoked weed every day. I still went to work. I were fully functioning. You know, it weren't like I were an alcoholic and I was just a
Yeah, yeah,
drug-addled mess.
yeah.
But at Christmas Day, I thought enough's enough because I'm exhausted all the time. Well, I was exhausted all the time. They've told me I've got fibromyalgia, I've got arthritis, and I thought I'm sure I won't feel as tired if I knocked this wine on head and knocked this weed on head.
Yeah.
And I just stopped that like that. In one day, I just went, that's it. Christmas Day, I had my last glass of wine. And I was fine. It didn't bother me. I haven't missed it. I'm not saying I'll
Very,
never
very
have
good.
another glass of wine.
So
I
you got
might
the
go out with
mindset.
girls.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
might go out with girls. I might have a couple if I want to. But so far, I have not touched a drop since last Christmas. And I've not touched
Very
any weed
good.
since Christmas Day.
That's
But I'll
impressive.
tell you now, kicking sugar is the
The
hardest
hardest.
thing I've ever
Yeah,
done.
yeah. No,
Definitely.
because it's at least alcohol, you don't need it every day, but you need food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then our taste buds have been manipulated for years. Go to the shops and then you walk around and just look at stuff. It's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we talk about 90% of what is in there, apart from the cleaning products, the food in there,
Yeah.
Tesco's and that, they're all nonsense. That's why I was screaming at Joe Wick. Joe Wicks, don't make a product. Just tell people to stop buying any multi-ingredient foods and then cook their own stuff. That's what I advocate. Nothing to do with the government. Don't give a shit. It's all about money. It's all about money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. And what were an eye opener for me the other day as well. My mum's been in hospital since Friday. She's had to have a stent put in to open up her esophagus again so she can eat. It's not done. She's not done very good on it, bless her. Now, I went to hospital and I forgot to take something to eat at lunchtime, and I was going to be there all day supporting her. And I thought I'll pop in hospital shop and see if they've got like some nuts or something like that.
Vending machines.
Well, there's like little WH Smiths there, and there were these bags of nuts. So I thought, oh, there's some almonds there, I'll get them. Said they've got rosemary on. I thought, rosemary, that's not going to be too bad. Anyway, I just bought them. We aren't reading ingredients, but I thought I will sit and read them when I get round to it. And before I opened them, I looked on back. Main ingredient, obviously, almonds. Next ingredient, sugar.
Yeah, of course.
Then rapeseed oil, then rosemary. I went, no. Gave them to nurses. I says, do you want these nuts?
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? It is crazy. It's almost like they are trying to kill us.
Yeah.
To kill us, or make us sick. Well, that's what I talk about sickness being a business. It is a business. It's a sick person is profitable. It's so sad.
That's right. Yeah, it is. And another thing I thought to myself, well, I'll pop to hospital canteen, see if that, in restaurants, see if there's anything in there. They've got fried potato wedges.
I know.
They've got baked beans, jacket potatoes.
Yeah.
Deep fried fish in batter.
Yeah.
There wasn't and loads of cakes. There wasn't a single thing that I could eat, and that's in a hospital restaurant.
There's if you go to a hospital and let's say you get burnt and you go to a hospital, right?
Yeah.
What they do is that they use a shitload of eggs to help you repair the burns.
Yeah.
They know that, the importance of eggs, they know that, but they still sell that crappy food. And it's mind-blowing because it is mind-blowing. They know that eggs help with recovery. The cholesterol in the eggs help your body recover quicker. They know that, but then they're not preaching that. When you go to the restaurants and the shops and the vending machines, it's all crappy stuff,
Yeah, it is.
We should be eating boiled eggs and ribeye steaks in hospitals.
I've not had a single bit of processed food since I started it, and I
can't
believe that. I honestly can't believe it. I've not had one day where I've lapsed. I've not strayed from it, and can honestly say I have never started any kind of eating plan and never strayed from it once.
But do you understand why?
Because I feel as though I've kicked an addiction.
Absolutely, because what it is, I know it's an addiction, but when we say it's an addiction, because you're eating the food, it's not necessarily an addiction in the sense that an addiction, you will struggle to lose it. The fact that you've lost it, that you stopped it that quickly. Basically, what you're doing is that you're eating foods that are raising your insulin levels, and your body is asking you for more. You have no control over it. It's a physiological demand. As soon as you jump on the sugar wagon, your body wants to stay on it. And that's why, but now you're not on the wagon. Your insulin level is low. That's why you're not craving anything. That's why it's,
Yeah.
you know, well done,
Well,
well done.
in January, you know, I had a breakdown because I was trying to work and look after my mum at the same time, and I was working 40 hours. I knocked 10 hours off. I worked in an office up my mum's stairs.
Yeah.
On my break times, I was running downstairs, making sure she was all
Look
right,
after,
giving her a drink. Lunchtime, I weren't getting any lunch. I was giving my mum her lunch, so then I was snacking while I was working. And on 14th of January, I just thought I did nothing but shake from I had a virus over Christmas,
Yeah.
and it made me really shaky, and I couldn't shake that off. And on 14th of January, I thought, right, I'm going to ring up and get in at doctors. So on my break time, I rang doctors. They said, oh, we've only got a pre-bookable appointment for 7th of February. She says, but I'll book you in for that, but keep trying to get in. So
Yeah.
I rang next day and I managed to get in. However, when I got off phone, I thought, I wonder if my blood pressure, if it's still with my blood pressure, and my mum had got a monitor.
Yeah.
Took my blood pressure and it were 198 over 111.
No.
And it were all stress,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Stressing out, trying to work and juggle everything. And I would just, as soon as I got home on a night, I was sitting in a chair and falling asleep. So I rang doctors back. I says, look, I've took my blood pressure. It's this. I've looked it up. It says it's a medical emergency. I says, I need to see somebody today. So they went, come and see nurse. So I rang my team leader at work. I said, look, put me on sick. I need to go to doctors. I went to doctors and saw a nurse, and she says, there's no point me taking your blood pressure. She says, you're that et up. She says, I know it's going to be sky high.
Yeah.
She says, let me go and speak to doctor. I says, no, take it anyway and speak to doctor. I says, but take it so that you've got it on record.
Yeah.
So she took it, and she says, what's going on? And I just, I were in floods of tears, and I says, look, I'm trying to do all this. I'm looking after my mum. My husband's bad with his mental health. I says, I'm knackered all the time with this fibromyalgia, which I don't even believe in. I think it's just a cop out that they tell you when they can't be bothered to find out what's wrong. I says, and I'm in agony with my knee, and I says, I just feel like I'm struggling. I feel like I'm wading through treacle on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So she went to see a doctor. They gave me a tablet. It didn't even touch my blood pressure. They doubled it, didn't touch my blood pressure. They swapped it to another one. It went down a little bit. They doubled that one.
All they could have done was tell you to change your diet. That's all they could have done.
Then they put me on this other tablet. They took all my bloods. All my bloods were off. My platelets were too high. My neutrophils were too high. My red blood cells, my white blood cells. And I said, what could be causing that? They said it could be inflammation, an infection, or cancer. Well, somebody tells you cancer, you just
scare you. I know.
Well, check them again in 2 weeks. They checked him in 2 weeks. 2 had gone down, 2 had gone up. Platelets and neutrophils had gone up. Others had gone down slightly. Still, they were talking about cancer. We'll check it again in 4 weeks. Checked it again in 4 weeks, and they'd all come down slightly. And then over that period from January to now, they've all normalised.
Good.
And I went to see a doctor the other week. They took all my bloods. And then I went in other day because I've got an infected hair follicle. I'll not bother going into that. I'll not bore you with that story. But I says, oh, can you just check my bloods, what I had done? And he went, your blood sugars are still higher than we'd like. He says, but you're not diabetic and they've been stable since 2022. He says, so I'm happy with that. That's stable. He says, everything else is normal. Now, they've always told me my cholesterol was too high and that they wanted me to go on a statin, and I would never
No, don't never do that.
No, I'd never go on a statin. My mum and dad have been on them for years. My dad
because the way you're eating now, even if cholesterol is a bit out, don't worry about it, because that's where your body wants it to be. The other thing is, before I forget, because we have somebody in a minute. So what you can do, you know, my daughter is a chef. Last at the Monday, she did a soup.
Yeah.
It was a ribeye soup.
Yeah, yeah.
A ribeye soup. And I had some last night. I swear to God, it was so nice. That's one thing that you can feed your mum. If your mum would listen, just literally she blended it and put a few herbs in it. And then if your mum can't eat, I swear to God, she can recover. And then obviously mash up some eggs. If that's what she can eat, just let it. That will help her with the cancer as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because cancer thrives on sugar.
She's really in a bad way. I mean, I've been a sole carer for since she was diagnosed 5 years ago. But I knew before then that she's got Alzheimer's as well.
Yeah.
So she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's 5 years ago. She was diagnosed with both
Does she
cancers.
remember you?
Some days she does. Some days I'm just that bitch that gives her the medication and
Yeah.
tells her when to go
if,
to
you-
bed.
if you can't try, I know it's a bit difficult,
Yeah.
but if that she made that, then let her eat that for her. That can help a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
She's so funny. She swears at me all the time. She never used to swear. She swears at me all the time now.
Very sad. Listen, is there anything that you want to ask me?
I am struggling with constipation a bit, but
Okay.
I'm getting there. I
So,
can't see. I do suffer with my bowels anyway, and I have done for years. So,
is it constipation or you're not going as regularly?
it's constipation. I'm not going as regularly, but when I do go, it's hard to pass.
Okay, so increase your animal fat. I say that
Yeah.
eat more pork belly, and then
Yeah.
we need more animal fat, and then
I've got pork belly for tonight.
absolutely.
So,
If you eat it every day for a couple of days and see,
yeah.
make sure you eat a lot of the fat, and then what the vegetables that you're eating, change all of them. If you're eating, let's say, more broccoli and asparagus, change it to maybe sprouts and cabbage or
Yeah.
cauliflower, something like that, and then see
Yeah.
what happens, because you may have to change all your gut microbiome, put something different in it and see what happens. Okay, and
Brilliant.
the animal fat, not necessarily the plant fat. I've had people here who could not go to the toilet. They had constipation. Eventually, I took all the plants out of the diet. They went on just pure animal fat and protein, and they started going again. So you may have to investigate to find out what it may be, that you may have to ease up on the vegetables a bit and then increase your animal fat. Okay.
I don't know if it was last week or week before. I went 4 times in 3 days, and I felt like I was winning at life.
No, but think about what were you eating then? Sometimes you got to find out what was I eating, because your body doesn't do anything without a reason, and then write things down. If you start going again, think, hang on, what did I eat the day before and yesterday? Find out what it is, and then what I find helps me as well is that when I boil an egg, so I put the eggs in hot water, and I boil the egg in the water, and then I pour it in the saucepan, and then put it on the fire, and then I put the eggs in it. Well, as soon as it starts boiling again, time it for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And then take it off, put it in cold water, and then peel it. It's all runny inside. When I eat that, it makes me straight away.
I love a runny egg. I don't like them when they're too hard boiled.
Make it really runny. Do you know what I mean? The runnier it is, the more. So try different things and then keep writing things down. Okay.
Lovely. Thank you, Eddie.
Deborah, listen, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you again soon. Now, if you're on the call, say hi. Yeah.
I will do. Thank you.
Look
I
after
feel
yourself. Bye-bye.
like you're helping me get my life back.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye.